Ever since I started my hardcore world, I've always wondered what farms should I build. And it's really because I can't build at all.
Oh,
And since my world recently hit 1000 days, I think I can answer that question for any of you who are wondering that now. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. First of all, I will separate farm building into two categories. Number 1, manual building, and number 2, using schematics. I will also account for material gathering, and you will see why it is relevant later on. Now, first of all, let's define what a farm is, in case you don't actually know what a farm is. I will take the definition that I found in the Minecraft wiki, where it says farming refers to the systematic production of renewable sources. In simpler terms, a farm uses a fixed system to produce items. In most cases, see, there are farms like the Enderman XP farm and the Furnace XP farms, whose sole purpose is just to give you XP. Sure, they produce items, but that's not really the point. So, in that case, it would be better to use the word resources, but for the majority of farms featured in today's video, I am just going to refer to the product as items. Anyways, back to the main point of the video. You might be wondering, how does a farm actually work? Well, I will give you an example using an iron farm that fits the definition. Your average iron farm uses villager mechanics to spawn iron golems, where the iron golems will be transported to a chamber containing a hazard, usually lava, in order to kill the iron golem. The iron golem will drop iron and roses, which are collected by hoppers and sent into chests. In short, the fixed system allows iron golems to spawn and die, so that items will be produced as a result. Different farms use different game mechanics, and some even use game bugs. The shulker farm uses the shulker duplication feature to mass produce shulker shells. Some gunpowder farms use the feature of cats scaring creepers to boost rates. Copper farms use the feature of zombies becoming drowned, and so on and so forth. Now that we have a grasp of how a farm works and what it is, we will talk about actually building the farm. Number 1, manual building. As the name suggests, manual building is just placing every individual block by hand. Number 2, using schematics. Using a mod called Litematica, we can paste the blueprint of a structure into the world without actually placing any blocks. Well, unless you are pasting the structure in creative, of course. Litematica is a feature called Easy Place. If you don't know what it is, just watch this clip and you'll understand how it works. This saves a lot of time, especially if you have vanilla placing off. The difference between these two building methods is that schematics can't always be viable for building farms. Take this iron farm design, which uses pathway blocks to spawn-proof the surrounding area to lock the iron golem to one spawning area, which leads to lava, where it will be farmed. For one, the main part of the farm is underground, which makes schematics less viable already. Next, the pathway blocks don't need to have a complete flat plane. With schematics, however, the schematic will automatically show that you have to remove or add those blocks. If you don't know any better, you might waste some time building the farm. However, for most farms, like Dash Pump 4's Gold Farm, there is nothing that makes schematics less viable than manual building. In fact, it might even save much more time. Also, with schematics, it's much harder to miss a block or misplace something. The problem with schematics, however, is that if you don't want to use specific blocks if possible, you may need prior knowledge to the function of some blocks in farms. For example, glazed terracotta doesn't stick to slime blocks. If you didn't know any better, you'd think that it was just a design choice. But if you did learn them, which there isn't much to learn, you'll be fine. Now, let's talk about what you actually came for. What farm should I build at this point in the game? Before I start, this is my recommendation. If you want to hear somebody else's or compare the two, do as you will. In fact, if you feel like this farm should be part of the list, or I could have just recommended a different farm, then feel free to let me know in the comments. Now, without further ado, let's get right into the main show. I will be using material gathering as the main metric to determine what farms you should build at what time in your world. I'll refer to this time to build as the level of farms. There are 4 main categories, being pre-dragonfight farms, post-dragonfight farms, established farms, and essential farms. You don't need to worry about the name of the categories. Pre-dragonfight farms are the most simple farms you can build. They aren't too crazy on rates, but they will get you to where you need to be. Post-dragonfight farms are essentially foundation farms. They are used to push you further into the game in order to build higher level farms. Think of post-dragonfight farms as building blocks for whatever project you want to do next. Established farms are farms that you can build when you've beaten the game and already have a lot of post-dragonfight farms. These mainly include farms that you've built before, but increase the rates of production drastically. Essential farms don't fall under level categories, but are just the farms I believe are essential for future projects, especially future farms. Essential farms range from pre-dragonfight farms to established farms. These don't have a specific design. I will just be saying iron farm, gold farm, shulker box farm, slime farm, etc., etc.
Hello guys, editor here. So the thing is, I forgot to tell you guys exactly why I made the difference between manual building and using schematics, and it's really because if you have schematics, you may be able to build farms that are above your current level, to say. For example, Nico is Lost has a pillager outpost farm, and in his server he gives the schematic. If you use the schematic, then you will be able to build it like in level 2, even though I would recommend it as a level 3 farm, because even though there is a tutorial, I don't really expect people to be able to build something like that after killing the Ender Dragon.
Level 1. The Villager Breeder. This simple design is essential if you want to do anything with villagers, as manual breeding can be quite tedious. Number 2. The Simple Iron Farm. There are many different simple iron farm designs, but I find this one to be the best. And since it is essential to the game, you might as well build one as early as possible. Next, the tripwire hook duper. Now, you might be thinking, why do I need a tripwire hook duper? Well, Fletchers can trade tripwire hooks for emeralds at their master level. And since it's basically free emeralds, you might as well. Now, the next farm is only for people at 1.21.2 and below, as Silly Shrink has been removed from the game. If you don't know what that is, it's basically a deactivated tripwire hook. This was a mechanic in the game, but they removed it because it was buggy and allowed you to dupe Shrink. Using this, you can actually trade with fishermen and Fletchers for emeralds using Shrink. This will generate a huge amount of emeralds. You just need to keep getting fishermen and you will be rich. Level 2. I will start off this list with the Enderman XP farm. I recommend Dash Pum's version because it doesn't need an Endermite. This farm will give you all the XP you need to get to full enchants. I'm not counting treasure enchants because you can get that in your own time. Number 2. The Gunpowder farm. Gunpowder is primarily used to make rockets for elytras. Gunpowder is harder to obtain in masses than sugarcane, so it is good to have one of these around. Next one up, the sugarcane farm. Paper can be used for books, but it is also primarily used to make rockets. Small side note, do not build this specific design of sugarcane farm as it has up to a 50% loss rate and is not that efficient. Number 4, an automatic cobblestone generator. Mining for cobblestone can be quite boring at times, so an automated cobblestone generator would be a huge help. Number 5, the slime farm. If you are planning on farm projects in the future, a slime farm is very much necessary, as sticky pistons and slime blocks come up more times than you will want it to. 6, the wood farm. I used to not really believe in wood farms until I built them myself. I can say they are crucial for big projects that require lots of wooden items or wood in general. There are 2 variations, you can go with whatever you want. Number 7, the gold farm. I personally recommend ianxofour's gold farm design. This is the most simple yet efficient gold farm design I've seen. It will take your gold costs all the way until you build a high rate gold farm. Number 8. The shulker farm. If you want to make big projects or even just a cleaner inventory, a shulker farm will be absolutely vital. Number 9. Raid farm. For 1.20.6 and under, the raid farm will give you totems to the point that you might even need to burn them. They also give loads of emeralds and other useful items. Raid farms still exist in 1.21 plus, but I haven't built any of them, so you have to find that out yourself. Good luck. Number 10. A witherskull farm. I also recommend ianxofour's design on this, and it's just because beacons are nice. Number 11. Witch farm. This generates loads of redstone, which is absolutely essential for complicated farms. Number 12. An upgraded iron farm. As the title suggests, it is an upgraded iron farm for more iron. Now for the next level. Established farms. I won't be giving you any farms to build for this. Why? Because it really depends on what you want to do next. And this is mainly because all the farms that would be listed are just max rated versions of the old farms. For example, you can have ianxofour's gold farm, but there's also Dashpum's gold farm. But this category also includes things like the bartering farm and gravity block dupers, which do require some amount of knowledge for, but it's not really hard to understand. And that leads me to the final category, essential farms. Now, these farms are just what I believe should be in every single world, so I'm just going to be listing them all down. Okay, here we go. Villager breeder, iron farm, raid farm, witch farm, gold farm, shulker farm, gunpowder farm, rail duper, slime farm, gravity block duper, cobblestone generator, and the wood farm. And that will be the end of today's video. If you stuck around until the end, or even if you skipped, thank you for watching. And goodbye.